Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to use our slides to build a complete guide for mastering your money, from that very first paycheck all the way to building your future wealth.
So let's start with a moment that I think we've all felt. You land your first real job. You're so excited for that first big paycheck, and then you see the numbers. You were paid $2,000, but what actually hits your bank account is, well, a lot less. What just happened? The confusion is definitely real. And that feeling, that confusion, it leads to the single most important question. What are you supposed to do with the money that's left over? That uncertainty is exactly why we're here. We're going to build a clear roadmap for you. And our first stop is one of the biggest, quietest challenges your money is always facing.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to start with this invisible force that's constantly working against your money, even when it's just sitting in a bank account, and it's called inflation.
So, what is it really? In the simplest terms, inflation just means your money's purchasing power goes down. Every single dollar you have buys a little bit less today than it did yesterday. It's this slow, quiet erosion of value that can really sneak up on you if you're not paying attention.
Okay, so this slide is a great way to make that abstract idea feel super real. Let's call it the bicycle test. Imagine a bike costs $100 today. Now, if inflation is at 6%, that exact same bike is going to cost you $106 next year. Your original $100, if it's just been sitting in an account, can't buy the whole bike anymore. It is literally lost power.
And here's the bottom line, right? The big takeaway is that just saving money isn't quite enough. Your money has to be growing at a rate that actually beats inflation. If it's not, you're basically losing a little bit of ground every single year.
So if your money needs to grow, where in the world do you start? Well, before you can even think about playing offense, you have to build a really good defense. You've got to protect yourself from life's unexpected curveballs. And this is where your financial safety net comes in, the emergency fund.
An emergency fund is just money you've set aside for those huge, unplanned costs. And look, we're not talking about your daily latte habit here or, a new pair of sneakers. We're talking about the big stuff that can totally throw your life off track if you're not ready for it, like your car suddenly dying or a surprise medical bill.
And listen, you do not need a ton of money to get this started. That's the key here. The big goal can feel kind of scary, but just look at the power of being consistent. Just $5 a week. That's probably one fancy coffee. Adds up to over $250 in a year. $20 a week? That gets you over $1,000. It is all about building that habit.
Okay, so how do you actually do it? It's a pretty simple game plan. First, open a totally separate savings account. This is crucial. Out of sight, out of mind. Then, automate it. Set up a direct transfer for every single payday. Even if it's small, just start. The ultimate goal, down the road, is to save up 3 to 6 months' worth of your essential living expenses.
All right, once that safety net is built, now it's time for the fun part. This is where you make your money start working for you. And the single most powerful force in the financial world that can help you do this is the magic of compound interest.
Just picture a tiny snowball at the top of a really long hill. It starts small, right? But as it starts to roll, it picks up more and more snow, getting bigger and faster at an incredible rate. That is exactly what compound interest does with your money. Your interest starts earning its own interest, and over time, that growth can become absolutely explosive.
So how do you actually get that snowball rolling? Well, two of the most common ways are through stocks and bonds. With stocks, you're buying a tiny piece of a company. You're an owner. If that company does well, the value of your piece can grow a lot. That's the higher potential return, but it also comes with more risk. Bonds are different. You're basically loaning money to a company or a government. They promise to pay you back plus interest. It's generally safer, which means the returns are usually lower and more predictable. It's all about finding your balance on that seesaw of risk and reward.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Now we're going to talk about something that isn't about how much money you have, but how trustworthy you seem with other people's money. I'm talking about your financial trust score, which you probably know as your credit score.
Yeah, you can think of your credit score as your financial report card, all boiled down to one simple 3-digit number. Lenders use it to quickly figure out how reliable you are with money you've borrowed. A higher score tells them you're a pretty low risk, and that can unlock much better interest rates on big things like car loans and mortgages.
So what if your score isn't quite where you want it to be? What can you actually do about it?
And this is the really good news. Your score is almost completely in your control. As you can see here, it all comes down to a few basic habits. The single most important one? Pay every single bill on time, every time. After that, keeping your credit card balances low, way under your limit, is so important. It's all about simple, consistent habits that prove you're reliable.
All right, this brings us to our final point, and honestly, this might be the most important part of this whole conversation. It's about an asset that's way more valuable than any stock, bond, or savings account you could ever have.
Do you know, the real secret to building wealth, it's not some magic trick or getting lucky with a stock pick. It's about consistently using your most valuable, totally non-renewable resource, time.
When you start now, it doesn't matter how small, you're giving that tiny snowball the longest possible hill to roll down. The earlier you begin, the more powerful that compounding becomes. So this final question is really for you, because the absolute best time to start investing in your financial future was yesterday, but the second best time is right now.